The story began in Shanghai City. Inside the house, a mother cradled her newborn baby, expressing how lucky he was to sleep peacefully after feeding, while she had lost much rest caring for him. Though exhausted, she felt it was worth it as long as he grew up healthy. The baby Lin Zichen quietly absorbed energy while feeding. Inside, he realized he had been reincarnated into the body of a newborn whose brain wasn't even fully developed. Soon, a status window appeared, showing his name, age of 33 days, and ordinary biological level with no attributes. He understood then that he possessed a cheat ability. At 3 months old, his mother admired how well behaved he was, and his father remarked that he was clearly gifted, and would one day either become a powerful gene fuser or at least a cyborg. During this time, Lin Zichen completed his first system task by kicking his legs 10,000 times. He gained the ability use and advance, which strengthened any body part he trained continuously. While feeling his strength increase little by little, he wondered about the meaning of gene fusers and cyborgs, comparing them in his mind to heroes like Spider-Man or Iron Man. By 4 months, he had already learned to sit and crawl. To avoid alarming his parents with such rapid progress, he only trained secretly at night, gaining vitality, coordination, and crawling proficiency. At 5 months, he managed to walk on his own and noted with pride how early he had achieved it. By 6 months, he felt it was safe to reveal some progress to his parents. Sitting with them on the couch, he showed he could sit and crawl without difficulty. While watching the news, he learned more about the world. Reports spoke of aberrant beasts, terrifying creatures born from Earth's mutation. To resist them, humanity had split into 2 forces: cyborgs who relied on advanced technology, and gene fusers who modified their genes for power. Realizing this Earth was different from the one he had known before, he understood the danger that surrounded him. Even so, Lin Zichen reminded himself that he had a system of his own. To survive, he would need to grow steadily, stay hidden, and continue evolving in this harsh world. One day, a new neighbor arrived. She introduced herself as Zhu Meng, bringing a housewarming gift and explaining she lived right next door. With her were her husband Shen Jianai and their young daughter Shen Qinghen. For Lin Zichen, this girl became his very first friend in this new world, though at the time he had no idea that their futures would become tightly connected. At 7 months old, his growth was astonishing. He could already run, gaining improvements in vitality, coordination, speed, and technique. He soon moved on to jumping, developing strong leg muscles, higher leaps, and refined technique. He even practiced speaking to himself, which increased his spirit, expression, and language skills. By now, thanks to the use and advance ability, he had mastered basic skills like running, jumping, and language. At 8 months, he pushed himself further, managing sit-ups and push-ups. But he only dared to train like this when his parents weren't around. Eventually, his mother walked in unexpectedly and was shocked to see her baby doing sit-ups. Confused, she wondered aloud what was happening. To reassure herself, she convinced her mind it was just a hallucination brought on by stress from writing her novels. Taking advantage of this, Lin Zichen pretended to sleep, secretly relieved he had fooled her for now. A few days later, while bathing him, his mother suddenly called for her husband in alarm. She had noticed that their baby already had visible abs at only 8 months old. His father rushed over, stunned, and thought about how Chenshin already had a huge appetite. Now, combined with defined muscles, it all seemed too extraordinary. After piecing things together, he declared that their son must be a rare prodigy. Certain he had a bright future ahead and would most likely become a gene fuser or at the very least, a cyborg. Lin Zichen silently acknowledged how close his secret had come to being exposed. Thankfully, his father's imagination had provided the perfect explanation. Having web novel authors for parents, he thought, was unexpectedly convenient. Later, as he watched television with his mother, he learned that he was not the only genius in this mutated world. News reported about a gifted young boy in the capital city's martial arts army, who at just 2 years old could already lift a 20-kilogram dumbbell with one hand. His mother proudly praised him, convinced he would never fall behind those so-called prodigies from elite families. Hearing this, Zichen thought to himself that she truly had good judgment, though he quietly wondered if he would really be able to lift 20 kilograms by the time he turned 2. When he reached that age, he proved himself right. With the help of his system and relentless training, he could easily lift 20 kilograms with just one hand. But just as he celebrated his progress, he was startled when his neighbor called out, announcing that Hanhan had come over to play. Though reluctant, Zichen stepped outside and soon came face to face with Shen Qinghen. At 2 years old, she still spoke like a baby and wasn't very clear in her words. She handed him a tart, which he accepted politely. Despite their differences, the two stuck together. Han often clung to him, and Zichen used her small size as extra weight for his training, carrying her on his back during exercises. Still, there was one problem: sometimes his weighted vest would leak, leaving him exasperated. By the age of 3, his strength had grown even more. He was now able to lift 40 kilograms with one hand, surpassing even the capital's prodigy who had been making headlines. Seeing the news, Zichen realized he was already stronger than that child had been at the same age. Even so, his biological level still remained at ordinary tier 1, despite his use and advance ability. This left him questioning just how powerful someone at ordinary tier 2 might be, and how far human limits could actually stretch. For the first time, he finally stepped outside into the wider world. On the streets, he saw strange figures, mutants and cyborgs that must have been the gene fusers and cyborgs he had heard about. Curious, he decided the best place to find answers was the library, since his parents didn't allow him to use electronic devices freely. Together with his mother, Zhu Meng, and Shen Qinghen, they visited the library. Zichen's mother and Zhu Meng were curious why he enjoyed reading such books. They assumed it must be because he had inherited genius traits. Even when Han tried offering him cookies, Zichen refused politely, saying he preferred to read. Through these books, Zichen gained a deeper understanding of the mutated world. Records from ancient ruins explained that living beings were divided into 6 biological levels: ordinary, advanced, rare, epic, legendary, and mythical. Each of these levels had further subdivisions, showing just how vast the gap was between the lowest and the highest. Realizing this, Zichen understood that as someone still at the ordinary stage, he was barely stronger than an ant compared to the higher tiers. He decided he needed to train harder while staying low. Otherwise, surviving in this dangerous world would be impossible. At 4 years old, Zichen's system assigned him a new task: to train not only his body but also his mind through reading. This gave him the ability to accumulate knowledge and comprehension rapidly. Around this time, he also started kindergarten. His homeroom teacher, Miss Jiang Mei, guided the class as Zichen attended alongside Shen Qinghen. Soon after, Zichen advanced to ordinary tier 2. His physical abilities skyrocketed. He could lift 80 kilograms with one hand, jump as high as 1.2 meters, and sprint 100 meters in under 11 seconds. But with great power came responsibility. When Qinghen was bullied in kindergarten and mocked as a bedwetter, Zichen couldn't ignore it. He stepped in, declaring that anyone who dared to bully her would face him. His bold words terrified the children, who immediately backed off in fear. That incident triggered a system reward. He completed his quest and earned the title Kindergarten Kid King. For the first time, Zichen realized he could complete multiple quests at once, which meant even greater progress. Half a year later, his efforts paid off. He completed the reading quest and received the Celestial Root of Wisdom attribute. From then on, his learning ability reached its peak, surpassing even normal human limits. Time passed quickly. Before long, both he and Qinghen were nearly 7 years old, preparing to graduate from kindergarten together. Before starting elementary school, Zichen spent his vacation training even harder. He was able to lift 200 kilograms, break a 2-meter jump, and even run 100 meters in under 8 seconds, thanks to the Celestial Root of Wisdom. He also completed most of the elementary school curriculum ahead of time, aiming to earn the title of Elementary School Top Dog. When he officially began at Sunshine Elementary, his school life was much easier compared to others. Competitions felt simple since he had already studied ahead. He quickly rose to the top, winning awards in academics. But his real focus remained on unlocking his system's next title. Outside of his studies, he often used his free time to tutor Shen Qinghen. Though she wasn't naturally gifted, her diligence and bright personality allowed her to rank second in the class right behind Zichen, who always held first place. To unlock the title faster, Zichen also joined every school sports event, smashing records one after another. A transfer student arrived in his class by Zhu. While Shen Qinghen admired her beauty, Zichen was more concerned with what that aura meant. He wondered if she might be a gene fuser or perhaps a descendant of one. Despite the curiosity she sparked, Bai Zhu remained distant. She avoided interaction, rarely spoke, and often stayed motionless at her desk once classes ended. At first, the whole class was intrigued by her, but as the days passed, her silence only deepened the mystery surrounding her. At first, Bai Zhu's distant behavior made her classmates curious, but over time, they lost interest and left her alone. For more than a month, she remained quiet, until something unusual happened. She began secreting a strange white liquid that carried a foul odor. The other students noticed and mocked her, saying she no longer seemed pure. the bullying escalated, with one boy even pouring water over her, pretending to help clean her. Baizu clenched her fists, trembling, while the class laughed at her humiliation. Watching this unfold, Shen Qinghan worried for her and asked Zichen to step in. Zichen agreed. He walked forward, his presence alone silencing the bullies. Fixing his gaze on one of them, he ordered him to wipe the water off Baizu's desk. The boy, terrified, quickly obeyed. Then Zichen demanded that everyone who bullied Baizu apologize immediately. None dared refuse. One by one they apologized, promising never to bully her again, even though Zichen still didn't fully understand Baizu's mysterious aura. At that moment she was just a girl who needed protection, and with him standing by her side, no one in the class dared to touch her again. After being defended by Zichen and Shen Qinghan, Baizu finally opened up. She thanked them sincerely, her voice trembling with gratitude. Qinghan warmly reassured her that classmates should help one another, and from that day on, she tried to befriend Baizu, often pulling Zichen along with her. Whenever Baizu had snacks, she would share them with her new friends. Yet deep down, she still struggled with insecurity. She worried aloud about her smell, asking if they were disgusted by her. Qinghan firmly rejected the idea, telling her she would never think that way and promising their bond would last forever. Zichen too stood by quietly, making her feel included. For Baizu, who had always been isolated and rejected, their kindness felt like a dream. Tears welled up as she accepted their friendship. In return, she gave them a gift, a necklace with beast fangs, a precious present from her mother, hoping it would symbolize their everlasting bond. The three promised to be friends forever, shouting it out with joy. For a while, their days were filled with warmth and companionship. But just as Qinghan thought this happiness would last, news broke that Baizu had suddenly transferred away, leaving behind confusion and sadness. Zichen confirmed that he personally saw Baizu filling out the withdrawal papers. Later, he witnessed her leaving the principal's office accompanied by a powerful-looking man, her information kept confidential. Watching from the sidelines, he realized her identity was far from ordinary. From that day on, she vanished from their lives, becoming just a fleeting memory of their childhood. Life moved forward. At home, Zichen continued to train both body and mind. Using his knowledge, he even learned professional massage techniques, surprising his mother with how effective they were. But soon, his attention shifted when news began reporting on a young prodigy from Kyoto. This boy had already undergone gene fusion at the age of 10 and displayed overwhelming strength, even lifting a massive boulder with one hand. Zichen compared the prodigy's feats with his own progress. Without any gene fusion, he was already capable of lifting incredible weight, proving that his potential might be even greater. Still, he understood what it meant to be pressured by such competition. But before he could focus on his own path, breaking news flashed on the screen. A neighboring country had been struck by a devastating aberrant beast attack. Eyewitness footage revealed swarms of giant aberrant rats wreaking havoc in the city. Among the chaos, a woman screamed for help as one of the monstrous creatures lunged at her, its jaws snapping shut. The investigation confirmed that heretics were behind the recent aberrant rat attack, secretly fanning the flames from the shadows. During a press conference, it was revealed that the so-called cult was an anti-human organization created by traitors to humanity. For their own selfish goals, they had allied with aberrant beasts and launched attacks on the world. The official speaking called upon other nations to aid secure a country in exterminating these heretics together. Meanwhile, Zichen reflected that he was fortunate to be born in a powerful nation. The country provided stability, which gave him an environment where he could lay low and continue to get stronger. His eyes widened as the sound of sonic booms echoed outside his window. Curious and cautious, he walked over, pulled the curtain aside, and saw squads of official cyborgs flying through the night sky. Watching this, he hoped nothing bad was about to happen. The next morning, Zichen left home and met Shen Qinghan, who greeted him with an apology for making him wait. As they walked together, her beast fang suddenly began to glow. Surprised, Zichen pointed it out, recognizing it as the fang of an aberrant beast. Shen Qinghan held it up as it emitted a faint aura. The glow only lasted for a moment, and they chose not to think too much of it. Still, Zichen couldn't ignore the connection between the cyborgs gathering the night before and the sudden glow of the fang. He felt a growing unease that something was about to happen. As Zichen and Shen Qinghan walked, the woman admired them, calling them adorable and asking if they were siblings. Shen Qinghen quickly clarified that they were not brother and sister, but childhood friends who were also best friends. The woman smiled, admitting she was jealous and wished she had a childhood friend too. Then, with a sly expression, she asked if they were going to school by themselves and where their parents were. Zichen grabbed her hand and told her firmly to stop talking. He pulled her away, reminding her they would be late, and the two of them hurried off. On the way, Zichen warned her not to answer every question a stranger asked. Shen Qinghen nodded, saying she understood. Later after school, the two walked through a quiet alley. Shen Qinghen commented that it felt creepy, but Zichen explained the whole area was scheduled for demolition. And since everyone had already moved out, it was naturally silent. Just then, the woman reappeared, revealing she had been waiting for them. Speaking into a device, she informed someone named Sheng that she had found the kids. Zichen realized she had followed them even though he deliberately took a different route home to avoid her. The woman tried to act friendly, offering to take them to her place for treats. A man beside her mocked her for talking too much and suggested they just knock the kids out and drag them away. He rushed forward, shouting that he was in a hurry to sell them for cash. Before the thug could grab them, Zichen stepped forward and unleashed a powerful punch, sending the man flying. The woman watched in disbelief, shocked that an elementary schooler could strike down a grown man. Zichen didn't stop there, he immediately charged at her, his fist striking with explosive force. After striking down the thugs, Zichen clenched his fist tightly. He realized there were no adults or authorities nearby, which meant if he wanted to protect Shen Qinghen, he would have to finish things himself. But before he could act further, the ground began to rumble. An earthquake shook the alley, leaving Zichen and Shen Qinghen startled. Looking up, their eyes widened as a giant aberrant rat appeared, its monstrous form towering over the buildings. The creature roared, its massive jaws snapping as it descended upon the woman, devouring her instantly. Zichen recognized the danger immediately, pulling Shen Qinghen close and urging her to run. Carrying Shen Qinghen in his arms, Zichen dashed through the narrow streets, determined to get her to safety. Just as the rat closed in, a sonic boom split the air. A cyborg descended at incredible speed, landing between them and the beast. Shen Qinghen gasped, asking if it was really a cyborg. Zichen narrowed his eyes, realizing how fast it moved. The cyborg immediately charged energy, announcing its attack, then released anesthetic smoke bombs toward the rat. Explosions followed as the beast staggered, but the fight was far from over. The aberrant rat resisted fiercely, forcing the cyborg to continue its assault. Despite its power, the rat's strength proved overwhelming, and the battle dragged on. Watching closely, Zichen thought to himself that the female cyborg's level probably wasn't very high. He recalled his own encounter with an aberrant rat, where he had needed to weaken it with tranquilizer darts and still fought for 7 minutes in close combat to finally take it down. Zichen thought back on the fight, reminding himself how tough giant aberrant rats were to handle. They could grow over 8 meters long, and with their ferocious nature, even cyborgs usually had a hard time dealing with them. He felt fortunate that he managed to escape the danger yesterday. Still, he realized his current training intensity wasn't enough, and he needed to push himself harder. During his workouts, system notifications appeared, showing the gains from his training-weighted squats improved his vitality, leg strength, and proficiency. Though the threat of aberrant rats remained, life moved forward as usual. Not long after, Zichen and Shen Qinghen celebrated their 9th birthday together. Surrounded by family, they made their wishes, blew out the candles, and exchanged gifts. Shen Qinghen received a carved wooden hairpin from Zichen, which he had made using his celestial root of wisdom. She loved it, smiling happily as she thanked him. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, they graduated from elementary school and advanced to middle school. Zichen kept up with his intense training during the break, determined to unlock new titles and improve his abilities. He performed thousands of weighted push-ups, increasing his vitality and muscle strength. He also ran interval training, enhancing his speed, endurance, and coordination. Finally, just before school began, he managed to break through to the ordinary 3rd tier of biological level. His physical attributes rose dramatically, allowing him to perform feats like a one-handed lift of 700 kilograms, a 4-meter vertical jump, and a 6-second 100-meter dash. One night before school started, Zichen watched the news about the Kyoto prodigy, a 16-year-old who had fused with a giant ant gene and could lift a 2,000-kilogram alloy with one hand. Zichen compared his own strength, calculating that even with the prodigy's multiplier, His true strength was only about 400 kilograms with one arm. That meant Zichen was still stronger. Smirking, he thought about how exciting it would be to undergo gene fusion himself someday. Soon after, middle school officially began. As the top student of his city during elementary school, Zichen drew the attention of principals from all the top schools. During registration, even the principal and his homeroom teacher greeted him warmly, expressing high expectations for his future. Though he responded politely, Zichen decided to enroll in Shanghai Middle School, mainly because of its excellent athletic facilities and on the condition that Shen Qinghan could be in the same class as him. On their first day, Shen Qinghan excitedly suggested they play a game of badminton before classes started. Holding her racket, she called out to Zichen with a bright smile. She shouted out confidently, swinging her racket as she unleashed her move, Fairy's Curvy Ball, just as the game was heating up. A group of upperclassmen arrived and interrupted them. One of the boys claimed the court was reserved for upperclassmen only, while another smirked, saying the little junior could stay so they could take turns sparring with her. They mocked further, offering to give her one-on-one lessons if she didn't know how to play. Zichen stepped forward, his voice calm but firm, telling them to get away from her. He reminded them about the first come, first served rule. The upperclassmen sneered, refusing to acknowledge the rule, and declared that he was taking the court regardless of who was there first. He picked up the shuttlecock and declared, "My rules are the only rules." With explosive strength, he launched into a powerful shot, his movements so fast and precise that the upperclassmen had no chance to respond. The impact sent shockwaves across the court, leaving everyone stunned. The senior was thrown back in shock, trembling as he questioned whether Zichen was even human. The others whispered nervously, wondering if he might already be a gene fuser, though they quickly dismissed the thought as impossible given his age. Realizing they couldn't win, the upperclassmen quickly backed off, apologizing and saying the court was theirs now. From that day on, no one in middle school dared to bully Zichen or Shen Qinghan again. With the incident behind them, life at school felt much like it had in elementary except bigger, with better facilities. Zichen, however, remained focused on his growth. He had already completed the entire middle school curriculum long ago, so during class, he often read books of his own choosing. At night, after training, he expanded his knowledge further by studying and learning new skills online. Using his celestial root of wisdom, Zichen practiced cooking, photography, driving, swimming, wilderness survival, and other athletic abilities. To secure the middle school overlord title as quickly as possible, he not only aimed for first place in every subject, but also represented his school in numerous competitions. His efforts paid off. He collected gold, silver, and bronze medals in math, physics, chemistry, computer programming, and even athletic events. Despite his dominance, he tried to keep a low profile, balancing his achievements carefully. A semester passed quickly, though the title had not yet been unlocked. His overwhelming performance earned him recognition and popularity across the school. To his surprise, he had even gained a group of fangirls who admired him. Zichen ignored the attention from fangirls, focusing instead on tutoring Shen Qinghan and preparing for the school sports festival. He decided to enter only 3 major events: shot put, high jump, and sprinting, since these categories represented strength, agility, and speed. He believed dominating them would secure complete victory and possibly unlock the middle school overlord title. During the festival, his performance stunned the crowd. His shot put throw reached an astonishing 201 meters. His high jump displayed incredible agility, and his sprinting speed left competitors far behind. Later, while walking with Shen Qinghan, he pondered the concept of life essence, recalling what he had learned about predators who devour others to evolve. He asked her for her beast fang, which she handed over without hesitation. Using it, Zichen absorbed a trace of life essence and discovered it belonged to the abyssal giant butterfly. The system informed him that with 100% synchronization, he could evolve traits from the beast. Intrigued, he tried searching online for information about this exotic creature, but found nothing. Determined, he realized he would have to research it himself. Back at home, he dug through his belongings and found another beast fang that Baizu had given him in the past. Using it, he absorbed more essence, though it only raised his synchronization to 2%. He concluded he would need to find additional sources to fully unlock its power. The following day, Zichen started riding Shen Qinghan home from school on his bicycle. His reasoning was practical. If another giant mutant appeared, he would be able to get her to safety much faster. As Zichen rode Shen Qinghan home, a voice suddenly called out to him. It was Coach Guo from the school's martial arts team. The coach praised Zichen's record-breaking performance at the sports festival, calling it the best in the school's history. Excited, he invited Zichen to join the martial arts team, insisting that his athletic talent even surpassed his academic achievements. Before Zichen could respond, the enthusiastic coach continued, urging him to at least learn about the team before deciding. Later at home, Zichen experimented with his predator's law skill. Crushing a cockroach and smashing a mosquito yielded no results, which made him realize that only powerful exotic beasts carried life essence worth devouring. To confirm his theory, he decided to visit a supermarket known for selling beast meat. Shen Qinghan joined him, and together they biked to the city center. Inside the store, Zichen noticed plenty of beast meat, but most of it was sealed in packages, making it impossible to test his ability. Just as he was growing frustrated, he heard a vendor shouting about fresh cut beast meat. Spotting a butcher preparing it on the spot, Zichen hurried over, determined to test his theory as soon as possible. Shen Qinghan looked on, confused by his sudden urgency, but he didn't pause to explain. He placed his hand on the meat in front of him, and the truth became clear. A strong surge of energy rushed through him, confirming his thought that beast meat contained powerful life essence. Shen Qinghan, watching his reaction, wondered why he looked so excited from something as simple as touching meat. She asked if it felt different from regular meat, and Zichen explained that it only felt fresher, even asking if she wanted to try touching it too. Embarrassed, she quickly refused, saying his touch was enough. Deciding not to waste the chance, Zichen said that since they were already there, he might as well buy some to try at home. Qinghan was shocked, and he thought to himself that her reaction was no surprise, because beast meat was never cheap. Even the cheapest ghost squid cost nearly 1,000 per jin. Ignoring the price, Zichen picked one and added it to their basket. Qinghan nervously suggested he ask Aunt Zin before spending so much, but Zichen gently patted her head and told her not to worry. His mother had already asked him to bring plenty back, planning to prepare a feast for both families. At the counter, Zichen paid for 3 ghost squids, the total adding up to nearly 3,000 yuan. He thought about how expensive it was and wondered when they would be able to afford it again. After completing the purchase, the cashier thanked them, and since it was already past 9, the two decided to head straight home. Things had been chaotic lately, so safety came first. Even on the way back, Zichen struggled to hold back his eagerness. He wanted to test his theory immediately, wondering if directly absorbing the life essence would spoil the meat. Looking down at the squid, he told himself that the moment of truth had finally arrived. Zichen placed his hand on the ghost squid, and waves of purple lightning wrapped around him as the energy surged into his body. A system notification confirmed he had devoured a trace of the squid's life essence. In his vision, a massive squid appeared, towering over him with its countless tentacles spreading out like shadows. After the absorption, he quietly rode home with Shen Qinghan sitting on the back of his bicycle. As they moved through the streets, he thought about the results. Devouring just a small portion had only unlocked 0.1% of the squid's guidebook. He calculated that reaching 100% would require consuming 100 jin of its meat, which meant nearly 100,000 yuan. The squid's ability to move undetected underwater made it a powerful beast, and Zichen knew he couldn't let this chance slip away. But the cost weighed heavily on his mind. He wondered how he could earn that much money. Knowing he couldn't keep relying on his family, he reminded himself that his main goal was to test whether absorbing life essence would cause the meat to spoil. Watching the squid in the basket glow faintly, he saw that the meat remained intact, proving that his theory worked. The absorption rate suddenly rose to 3%, and Zichen's excitement grew. Just as he focused on the process, Shen Qinghan called out in alarm, warning him about people ahead. Distracted, Zichen nearly crashed into a group on the road. He quickly apologized, realizing he had been too caught up in his experiment to watch the way. Qinghan scolded him for forgetting to pay attention while riding. Then, she suddenly pointed toward nearby. In the distance, a muscular man was holding a woman hostage. Zichen recognized her as one of their teachers. The man shouted for others not to come closer, or he would kill her. Police and armed officers had already surrounded the area, ordering him to surrender. One officer explained the danger, warning his men not to fire recklessly. He reminded them that the suspect was a professional and could easily harm the hostage if threatened. Another suggested using knockout gas, but the squad leader shook his head. He explained that the gas was too obvious, and if the suspect noticed it before it took effect, it could drive him into more violent actions. Zichen bent down and quietly picked up a small stone. With a quick flick, he threw it at the man holding the teacher hostage. The stone struck its mark, and in the moment of distraction, the officers took their chance. They rushed forward, knocking the weapon from the man's hand and pulling the teacher to safety. From a distance, Shen Qinghan realized what had happened and looked at Zichen. She asked if he had been the one who threw the stone, but he quickly hushed her, saying they should leave and talk about it later. Just then, an officer stopped them and directly asked if the stone had been thrown by him. Caught off guard, Zichin nervously denied it. The squad leader, however, seemed more interested than suspicious. He remarked that acts of bravery were rewarded, tossing a coin into the air as he spoke. Hearing the word reward, Zichin's eyes lit up. The thought of receiving money was too important for him to ignore. He dashed forward eagerly, surprising the officer with his sudden energy. When asked again, Zichin admitted that he was the one who threw the stone. He explained that he hadn't planned to get involved, but the reward was too valuable to pass up. The squad leader acknowledged his honesty and told him to follow so they could file a report and process the reward. Zichin and Shen Qinghan agreed, and together they accompanied the group as the criminal was led away in restraints. But the relief didn't last. The restrained man suddenly let out a guttural roar, his body twisting and swelling unnaturally. His eyes turned white, veins bulged across his skin, and his muscles expanded violently. The officers were caught off guard as his transformation continued. Someone shouted in panic that he was a heretic, undergoing abnormal mutation right in front of them. His muscles tore through his clothes as he grew larger, his skin darkening and his face distorting into something monstrous. The squad leader quickly ordered his men to open fire, reminding them to protect the civilians while containing the threat. Gunfire rang out as the beast roared and charged at the officers. Despite being riddled with bullets, the transformation gave it frightening strength. Zichin Shen Qinghan and the rescued teacher were pulled back as the fight escalated. Reports spread quickly, calling for reinforcements and warning of a powerful abnormal mutation in progress. Then, with a sudden crash, the monster leapt forward with overwhelming force. Zichin froze for a moment until a figure dropped from above, striking the beast with immense power. It was a mechanical enhanced human, their armored body glowing with energy. The newcomer charged an energy cannon, announcing that it was ready. A blinding beam of light shot forth, blasting the monster backward and silencing its roar. The heretic collapsed, and the crowd watched in awe as the fight ended almost instantly. Zichin, still holding onto Shen Qinghan, was left speechless by the overwhelming display of power. He thought to himself how strong the newcomer was. Shen Qinghan and the teacher, breathing heavily, expressed relief that they had been saved. Zichin pushed his bicycle forward again, grateful they hadn't lost it in the chaos. Just then, something caught his attention. He looked down and realized the Ghost squid meat in his basket was steaming faintly. Zichin examined the Ghost squid meat in his basket and noticed it had indeed spoiled after absorbing its life essence. He realized the meat would eventually deteriorate, only with some delay. To avoid drawing suspicion, he decided to blame the abnormal heretic's disturbance for the sudden change. Acting frustrated, he tossed the ruined meat aside, while Shen Qinghan tried to comfort him, reminding him that what mattered most was that they were safe. Originally, Zichin had planned to head straight home, but the squad leader requested their cooperation. They were asked to ride in the security team's vehicle and return to the station to provide a statement. Sitting inside, Zichin thought about the unexpected aftermath. Even after being destroyed by the energy cannon, the heretic's body had left behind charred tissue that still emitted a sharp, stimulating odor. As his thoughts raced, an idea struck him. He remembered how beast teeth also contained traces of life essence. If that was true, then a heretic's remains might hold the same potential. His eyes widened in sudden realization. What if he could use the heretic's corpse and integrate its essence into his own system? Sitting quietly in the security van, Zichin's thoughts lingered on the battle earlier. He wondered just how much of the Rat King's essence could be absorbed from a freshly scorched heretic corpse. Determined to find out, he reached out and secretly made contact. Energy surged through him, and the system confirmed it. He had devoured a trace of the giant mutant rat's life essence. The strength gained seemed proportional to the amount consumed, leaving Zichin both awed and cautious about its potential. As he tried to mask his actions, one of the guards noticed him stretching and told him to sit still. Zichin quickly brushed it off, claiming he had been sitting too long and only needed to loosen up. While the guard didn't press further, Zichin could tell the captain was far more observant than his subordinates. At the station, the captain directly questioned him, curious about how a middle schooler could throw a rock with such precision in poor lighting, hitting the heretic's hand at the exact right moment. Zichin gave a vague excuse, joking it might be because he often trained his right hand. The two exchanged a silent stare, each aware there was more left unsaid. The tension broke when Shen Qinghan and Aunt Xin entered the room, calling out to take him home. Zichin was surprised, asking why his mother had come in person, insisting they could have returned by themselves, but she rushed to him, hugging him tightly, her voice trembling as she scolded him for scaring her. She pleaded with him to promise that next time there was danger, he would find safety first. Zichin nodded and reassured her that he would. As they left, officers nearby discussed the incident. They spoke of the rat god cult becoming more reckless, infiltrating universities and luring vulnerable students who couldn't legally obtain gene fusion. The man taken down tonight was identified as one such victim, a liberal arts student brainwashed into serving the cult. Hearing this, Zichin clenched his thoughts around one phrase, Rat King. The name echoed in his mind, the weight of what he had just absorbed taking on an even greater meaning. While traveling in the van, Zichin researched the rat god cult and learned their main base was hidden in the southern city, recruiting countless outcasts and believers. The cult's leader, the Rat King, was forcing his followers to gather vast amounts of evolution materials, with the goal of evolving into a higher life form. As he pondered, his attention was caught by a giant rat on the street. Its unusual size made him question whether it was connected to the Rat King. But then he dismissed the thought, reminding himself that large rats weren't uncommon in the south. His focus shifted when he noticed Han sitting quietly beside him. He wondered if her old problem was acting up again. Later, Han sat embarrassed in her room, showing the same issue she had since childhood. She couldn't control herself when nervous or startled. Zichin, however, always suspected this odd condition might be tied to some hidden potential. Meanwhile, their mother was shocked to discover the meat was missing. Zichin quickly made up an excuse, saying he must have dropped it during the emergency. She scolded him, but then brushed it off, more concerned for his safety than the meat. Relieved, Zichin realized he had successfully fooled her. Not long after, his father returned, and the conversation nearly exposed Zichin's lie. When his father asked how he knew the meat had spoiled, Zichin quickly covered it up by saying it was just a guess. At the same time, the security captain, still suspicious of his earlier actions, struggled to understand how a middle schooler had managed to throw a stone so accurately in poor lighting, enough to strike the heretic's weapon hand with precision. The security captain suddenly heard unsettling noises and turned to see a massive rat looming above him. Shocked by its size, he instinctively drew his gun and opened fire as the creature lunged toward him. Zichin sits in the classroom, sighing as he stares at his paper. He thinks back to the fight against the Batman and the female cyborg and admits to himself that he is still far too weak. Determined, he considers studying harder and earning scholarships from competitions, but he realizes the process is much too slow. Another thought crosses his mind: becoming a top student influencer, live streaming tutorials, and selling study materials. For a moment, he weighs the idea, but quickly dismisses it, knowing it is too flashy, even if it brings quick cash. He shakes his head and admits he has the wrong idea. He reflects on the world he lives in, one dominated by DNA fusion users and cyborgs, where martial skills are valued more than academics. Martial arts tournaments hold far greater weight than other subjects. And with that realization, he clenches his fist and decides it is time to take action. At the gymnasium in Building C, the coach is drinking when Zichin walks in and greets him. The coach coughs in surprise at his sudden arrival. Wasting no time, Zichin asks if joining the martial arts team would give him the chance to compete in city tournaments and whether the prizes are high. The coach confirms with confidence that not only will he have a chance, but the prizes are worth tens of thousands. Hearing this, Zichin makes up his mind and declares that from today onward, he is officially part of the martial arts team. The coach smiles, shakes his hand, and welcomes him aboard. The coach then gathers the team and introduces Zichin as the new member. The others respond one by one. Zhang Kai introduces himself, followed by Huang Tianxing, who prefers to be called King. Liu Shudong introduces himself as well, saying he just naturally likes his name. Finally, Wan Yehui introduces himself, asking Zichin to call him Brother Yehui. After hearing them all, Zichin politely introduces himself as Lin Zichin and asks them to take care of him. Since Zichin has no martial arts training, Coach Guo begins with a demonstration of basic fist and leg techniques. He explains that while the moves may look simple, they are actually difficult, and even the fastest learner on the team took a full week to master them. After showing the techniques, he steps aside and tells Zichin to give it a try. Zichin steps forward and begins to imitate the moves. His eyes sharpen, and an instinct awakens within him. As the coach's demonstration replays in his mind, his body flows with precision, guided by a sudden martial insight. His fists and kicks strike with force, his movements seamless as if he had been practicing for years. He executes the techniques one after another with speed and accuracy. Each strike cuts through the air, his kicks carrying both power and balance. The force of his performance leaves trails in the gym, stunning everyone watching. The coach's eyes widen, his jaw dropping as he exclaims in disbelief that it is impossible. He cannot understand how Zichin has mastered the moves after seeing them only once. The rest of the team is equally shocked, wondering aloud how he could learn so quickly. The coach stares harder, realizing that unless Zichin is a once-in-a-million martial arts prodigy, this should not be possible. Later at home, his mother calls out from the kitchen, asking him to grab the bowls because dinner is ready. Zichin rushes out excitedly and asks what they are eating. She smiles and tells him it's the goschido squid he has been craving. Overjoyed, he hurries to the table, praising the smell as incredible. Sitting down, he takes his first bite while his mother urges him to eat while it's hot. He tastes it and immediately enjoys it. His mother asks how it is, and he replies that as expected, her cooking is the best food in the world. Delighted, she encourages him to eat more, saying she bought a full 3 gins. Suddenly, a system notification appears in his mind. It tells him he has devoured a trace of the goschido squid's life essence. Realizing this, Zichin is shocked. He thinks to himself that if eating it directly also works, then he didn't even need to touch it before. The television reports on a genius girl who has shocked the nation. At only 14 years old, she developed an energy core and became the youngest cyborg in history. The broadcast shows her demonstrating her power, her energy system allowing her to lift a 200-kilogram barbell with one hand, jump 3 meters horizontally, and 8 meters vertically. Zichin watches the news and thinks about the comparisons constantly made between gene fusion users and cyborgs. He wonders which side is truly stronger. The program then shifts to a breaking report. Tragedy has struck. Security Captain Hechunshin was killed the previous night in his office, devoured by a giant mutant rat that infiltrated the station. The report makes Zichin uneasy. He recalls the giant bats from last night and realizes these dangerous creatures are appearing more frequently. Knowing this, he tells himself he must intensify his training. Over time, his efforts bring results. His 100-meter sprint reaches 4.61 seconds, and his vertical jump improves to 5.51 meters. He finds he can even lift nearly 100 kilograms with one hand. But he does not stop at raw strength. He continues practicing martial arts techniques daily, determined to boost his power quickly for the upcoming tournament. The next morning at school, Zichin returns to the gym to continue training. But this time Hanrin tags along out of curiosity. On the way, a girl greets him warmly, asking if he has eaten breakfast. She offers him fresh milk, smiling as she insists she brought it just for him. Zichin politely declines, thanking her for the kind gesture, and walks on with Hanrin by his side. His refusal catches the attention of a student who clenches his fist in anger. He thinks back to losing the championship at the sports meet because of Zichin, and now, in his mind, Zichin is stealing attention from the girl he likes. Enraged, he steps forward and shouts for Zichin to stop. He confronts Zichin directly, accusing him of being rude for rejecting the milk. Zichin calmly replies that accepting it only to pass it along would be even more disrespectful. The boy insists that drinking it is the only polite option. Zichin answers that he cannot, because he is allergic to milk. The boy calls him a liar, refusing to believe it, and challenges him outright. Pointing at him, he demands a spar. If he loses, he swears he will never speak to Zichin again. But if he wins, Zichin must drink the entire bottle of milk. As the challenge is set, a notification appears before Zichin, explaining the rules for formal competition. 2 opponents must exchange different offensive and defensive moves, and the one who remains standing is the victor. The system recognizes the situation and registers it as an official spar, triggering the combat achievement for opponent elimination. Zichin smiles with satisfaction, thinking about how he has been waiting for this moment and has finally unlocked the achievement. Facing his opponent, he raises his hand and declares with confidence, "All right, let's spar." 2 girls excitedly gossip about Lin Zichin's upcoming duel against a senior at the gym. Surprised and thrilled, they decide to rush over to watch the match unfold. Inside the gym, a large crowd of students gathers in a circle, creating a ring around the center. The atmosphere buzzes with anticipation as everyone waits for the duel to start. Among the crowd, the purple-haired girl blushes slightly as she cheers for Zichin, telling him to do his best and teach the senior a lesson. Her support stands out loudly in the noisy gym. Beside her, the pink-haired girl smiles confidently, wishing Zichin good luck while holding her phone ready. She plans to capture every moment, promising to take plenty of photos during the fight. The senior looks frustrated, noticing the crowd's attitude. He growls in annoyance, thinking everyone believes he'll lose this match. Determined, he decides to take this chance to crush the talented junior before he grows stronger. He convinces himself it's better to dominate now while he still can. Facing him calmly, Zichin casually mentions that he still has to be home in time for dinner, asking if they can finish the duel quickly. His relaxed tone contrasts sharply with the tension in the gym. The senior smirks darkly, promising to grant his opponent's wish as he prepares to fight with full intent. The referee raises his hand and reminds both sides that this is a spar, emphasizing friendship first before signaling the start of the match. Before the fight begins, the senior suddenly interrupts, shouting to wait. With a confident smile, he mocks Zichin's short training time compared to his own 2 years. To make things fair, he offers Zichin the first 3 moves. Zichin wastes no time and instantly charges forward at incredible speed. The senior is caught off guard, shocked by his sudden movement. Zichin launches forward with explosive speed, his fist driving straight at his opponent. The punch lands cleanly across the senior's face, sending him flying back through the air. He crashes hard onto the ground, lying motionless and defeated in an instant. The referee stares in shock, unable to believe the fight ended with just a single punch. The crowd erupts in disbelief, stunned that the duel ended so quickly. They can't believe it's already over. Cheers break out as students celebrate Zichin's victory, raising their hands in excitement. The 2 girls leap with joy, praising Zichin loudly and calling his performance amazing. Meanwhile, Zichin receives a system notification acknowledging his win and hinting that he must defeat many more rivals to unlock a special ability. With a playful smile, Zichin suggests that his other senior brothers should also take this chance to spar. The crowd of seniors is left stunned, their shocked faces showing they want nothing to do with it. One by one, they come up with excuses mentioning cram school, family dinner, feeling sick, or suddenly needing to leave. In the end, they all walk away together, avoiding the challenge. Meanwhile, the defeated senior struggles to his feet, furious and humiliated. He shouts that Zichin only won because of a sneak attack and insists that if they fight again, he will crush him. The referee tells Zhang Kai to accept his loss, then decides to test if Zichin's punch was luck or real strength by sending another senior, Zio Lizzie, to spar. The call shocks the students, their faces showing nervous anticipation. Zio Lizzie steps forward anxiously, asking Zichin for mercy and begging him not to hit his face. 10 minutes later, the gym floor is littered with defeated seniors. Zichin notes that he held back and only exchanged blows lightly, yet still left all his opponents beaten. Zichin reflects that only his victory over Zhang Kai counted toward his system's progress. The system clarifies that sparring isn't enough, he must fully defeat rivals for it to count. The referee praises Zichin as a genius, noting how he's only been in the martial arts team for a month, yet has already become their ace. Excited, he declares that with Zichin on the team, their school is certain to dominate the upcoming regional martial arts tournament and secure first place. Hearing this, Zichin's eyes light up. He realizes the tournament is the perfect opportunity to face and defeat many opponents at once, accelerating his progress. Zichin thinks to himself that as long as he defeats opponents in official competitions, the system will count it toward his achievement progress. Suddenly, Zhang Kai calls out loudly, drawing everyone's attention. With a battered face, Zhang Kai admits defeat in front of everyone. He swears that no matter what happens from now on, he won't complain or say a word against Zichin. The crowd reacts in shock at his exaggerated declaration, leaving even Zichin and the others surprised. As the training continues, Zhang Kai complains that he hasn't even finished speaking when the others rush off without waiting. On the track, a girl calls out for Zichin to wait, while he encourages her to keep up as they run together. After a long run, the group shifts to martial arts practice, focusing on hand-to-hand combat drills to sharpen their skills. Training intensifies with sit-ups and push-ups, building strength and endurance as part of their daily routine. After each training session, Zichen helps Shen Qinghin relieve her muscle tension with massages. He continues his own rigorous training, determined not to slack off as he prepares for the upcoming martial arts tournament. At last, the long-awaited day of the tournament arrives, and Zichen walks forward with confidence, ready for the challenge. The scene opens inside the city gymnasium, where the massive arena is lit up and filled with anticipation. The stage is ready for the competition, and the crowd waits eagerly for the matches to begin. Back in the contestant waiting area, one student looks at the match schedule with frustration. He points out that their school, Shanghai High, has terrible luck. They've been placed in the same group as Shanghai No, One High, the strongest team in the entire competition. Another teammate joins in, clearly anxious. He explains that Shanghai No, One has an athlete this year who can run the 100-meter dash in under 9 seconds. Hearing that, the team feels the pressure, realizing how overwhelming the challenge ahead of them is. While the rest of the team worries, the green-haired boy steps forward with a calm expression. He raises his hand and confidently tells the coach that he would like to go first, surprising everyone with his determination. The coach agrees to his request and calls Zichen to step up first. The rest of the team looks on with mixed expressions, some surprised, others still anxious about the upcoming challenge. From the sidelines, teammates and supporters cheer loudly, calling out his name and encouraging him not to let them down. They remind him that the teachers believe in him, giving him a wave of confidence as he stretches and prepares himself for the match. Zichen steps forward with determination, his shoes hitting the ground with force. The sharp sound echoes, signaling that he's ready to face what lies ahead. Suddenly, a towering opponent from the rival school approaches him. Recognizing Zichen as a junior from the same school, the man remarks on his talent. He's impressed that someone so young has already made it to the martial stage of the 8-school tournament, acknowledging his potential with a confident grin. The muscular opponent smirks as he mocks Zichen, saying the stage isn't meant for a first-year student who hasn't even reached the height of 1.7 meters. Flexing his arm with confidence, he declares that he will show Zichen the true difference between size and power, making it clear he intends to dominate the match. The referee signals the start, announcing the duel has begun. Both fighters stand ready, the tension in the arena rising instantly. Without hesitation, the towering opponent charges forward with overwhelming force, his body bursting with power as he launches his opening attack. As the match begins, the towering opponent charges in with full strength, but his expression quickly shifts to shock when Zichen effortlessly dodges his strike. In the same instant, Zichen counters with precise speed, landing a powerful blow straight to his opponent's body, catching him completely off guard. The force of the attack sends the massive fighter flying through the air, crashing hard onto the arena floor as the crowd erupts in disbelief. The referee, still stunned by how quickly it ended, raises his voice to announce the result. With clear words, he declares Zichen the winner, leaving everyone astonished by the first year's overwhelming strength. From the stands, Xiao Chen's teammates erupt with excitement. The girl with twin tails cheers loudly, calling his performance amazing. The rest of the group shouts with joy, praising Zichen's incredible display of strength and skill. They joke about his opponent being nothing but stiff muscles, completely inflexible compared to Zichen's speed. Meanwhile, on the losing side, the rival's coach scolds him harshly. He yells about the importance of footwork, frustrated that his fighter rushed in recklessly without listening to repeated instructions. Zichen stands proudly on the stage, the system announcing his victory. His ranking improves, and the progress bar for eliminated rivals rises higher, confirming his success in the tournament. On the rival team's side, the coach orders Chen Feng to take the stage next. He tells him to crush the first year as quickly as possible, making it clear he wants no hesitation. Chen Feng nods and accepts the command with confidence. Stepping into the arena, Chen Feng takes his stance, ready to prove his strength. The crowd watches in anticipation, waiting for the clash to begin. The referee raises his hand and signals the start of the match, announcing for the duel to begin. Chen Feng wastes no time. The moment the match starts, he charges forward at full speed, launching his first attack straight at Zichen with overwhelming momentum. As the fight begins, Zichen swiftly closes the distance. With lightning speed, he strikes Chen Feng directly, his attack landing with overwhelming precision. The force sends Chen Feng spinning uncontrollably through the air, his expression twisting in shock and pain. He crashes hard onto the stage, the impact shaking the ground as the audience gasps at the sudden and brutal outcome. Medical staff rush in immediately. They place Chen Feng on a stretcher, urgently instructing to send him to the hospital for a head scan after the heavy blow he suffered. The crowd erupts in disbelief after the match. Some spectators claim the student from Shanghai High is unbelievably lucky, recalling how his last opponent disqualified himself by running off the stage. Others shout angrily, insisting the fight must be rigged and demanding refunds. But not everyone agrees. A few recognize that this isn't luck at all. They admit that the first-year student is the real deal, showcasing genuine skill that can't be denied. Frustrated, the rival coach clenches his fists and calls for his next fighter, Gao Fei. He warns him to play it safe, telling him to focus only on defense and never take risks, insisting that he must not lose this round. With calm confidence, Gao Fei steps forward. He assures his coach not to worry, promising victory as he heads onto the stage. Gao Fei steps onto the stage with confidence. He believes Lin Zichen isn't physically strong and only relies on agility and tricks. In his mind, the outcome is clear. He runs the 100 meters in under 9 seconds and has far more combat experience. As long as he takes this fight seriously, there's no way he can lose. The crowd discusses Gao Fei's abilities in awe. They say his father is a gene fusion user, which means Gao Fei's stats are already beyond normal. Many spectators believe the first year from Shanghai High might finally be done for, though some admit that once Zichen matures, he will surely dominate the scene. The referee raises his arm and signals the start of the match, announcing the duel to begin. As soon as the call is made, both fighters spring into action. Gao Fei charges forward aggressively, aiming to overpower Zichen with his speed and strength, while Zichen braces himself for the clash. Gao Fei launches into an aggressive assault, unleashing his technique called flowing water, shattering rock fist. He drives forward with a barrage of punches, aiming to overwhelm Zichen. From the sidelines, his coach shouts in frustration, reminding him of the strategy. He had told Gao Fei to stay defensive, not to recklessly attack, but Gao Fei ignores the instructions. In Gao Fei's mind, he scoffs at the idea of defense. He believes that a genius like him doesn't need to defend. On the other hand, Zichen carefully watches each strike, analyzing the rhythm of Gao Fei's technique. He decides to observe closely so he can learn and adapt. Despite Gao Fei's flurry of blows, none of them connect. Panic begins to creep into his thoughts as he wonders why he can't land a single hit on Zichen, no matter how many punches he throws. Gao Fei grows frustrated as none of his attacks connect. He demands to know how Zichen is dodging everything so easily, calling it impossible. Zichen remains calm, taunting him to bring out all his moves if that's all he has. Enraged, Gao Fei takes the taunt personally. He unleashes another barrage of punches, determined to land a blow no matter what. But Zichen stays composed. Noting that Gao Fei is still repeating the same moves, he decides it's time to finish the fight. With explosive speed, he counters with a decisive strike. The crowd watches in shock as Gao Fei is struck down. Their wide-eyed expressions reflect disbelief at how quickly the battle turned in Zichen's favor. The crowd erupts with cheers, calling Xiao Chen a beast and praising his incredible streak. his teammates celebrate with excitement, amazed that he has already claimed 3 victories in a row. Zichen stands tall in the arena, his fist raised with quiet determination, while his fallen opponent lies unconscious at his feet. His dominance is undeniable. Time passes as Zichen continues his matches. With unshakable composure, he defeats every challenger that steps forward from Shanghai No. 1 high. One after another, his opponents fall until none are left standing. Zichen wipes out all 5 fighters from the strongest team, leaving the arena in awe of his overwhelming power. With his unmatched performance, Zichen successfully leads Shanghai High to win the championship of the 8-school tournament. The team celebrates as the trophy is lifted high above the stage. Despite the triumph, Zichen remains focused. The system updates his progress, showing that he has eliminated 16 rivals so far. But he still needs to defeat hundreds more to unlock the full potential of his ability. He realizes it could take years to achieve. Later, Zichen is pleasantly surprised when Mr. Guo rewards him with the bulk of the tournament prize money. The large sum astonishes him, far more than he expected. Counting his total savings from various competitions, Zichen beams with excitement. With nearly 30,000 yuan earned, his efforts have not only brought glory to his school, but also secured him a significant reward. Though Zichen had managed to save up 30,000 yuan, the money didn't last long. Much of it was quickly spent on valuable resources. At home, he devoured large amounts of Ghost squid meat, rapidly increasing his codex unlock progress. His determination to grow stronger pushed him to consume more, steadily raising his power. By the 2nd year of middle school, his progress became clear. What once seemed impossible was now effortless. He could lift a massive boulder with one hand, leap several meters in a single bound, and sprint 100 meters in just over 4 seconds. Time flew by, and with hard work and perseverance, both Zichen and Shen Qinghan successfully graduated from Shanghai's middle school division, marking the end of one stage of their journey and the beginning of another. The entrance exam results are released. Zichen secures first place in both liberal arts and martial arts, but Qinghan, despite excelling academically, falls short in martial arts and doesn't meet the cutoff for Shanghai High's elite class. Sitting together, she laments her hard work and wonders if this means they can no longer attend the same school. Zichen tries to comfort her, though he doesn't have all the answers. He explains that the principal of Shanghai High has already arranged to visit his home and asks Qinghan to come with him. Tears stream down her face as Qinghan protests. She says the visit has nothing to do with her, questioning why she should even go. Still, her feelings reveal her fear of being left behind. Zichen reassures her with confidence. He explains that his condition for staying at Shanghai High is simple. Qinghan must be his desk mate. Hearing this, she follows him, her worries beginning to ease. The principal of Shanghai High visited their home and sat down with them, spending hours in serious discussion to settle important matters. When the talk came to an end, she stood by the door and mentioned that everything necessary had already been explained. Before leaving, she reassured Zichen that as long as he chose to remain at Shanghai High, he was welcome to speak his mind about anything else. At that moment, Zichen voiced his only request. He wanted Shen Qinghan to stay in the same class with him, revealing how important it was to him. The principal confirmed Shen Qinghan's name, making sure she was the student being referred to. With a smile, she instructed that when the new school term began, both Zichen and Shen Qinghan should come together to Shanghai High. Hearing this, the two students were overjoyed and gratefully thanked the principal for her decision. Later, it shifted to another scene. Zichen once again proved his strength by easily helping Shanghai Junior High secure the championship title. The tournament concluded with Zichen's team emerging victorious, his decisive strike overwhelming the opponent. With the prize money he earned, he decided it was time to fulfill his long-awaited goal. Standing deep in the forest, he reflected that he was only 20% away from unlocking the Ghost Squid Codex, and the resources he bought from the prize should be enough to complete it. Without hesitation, he began the process, devouring the Ghost Squid's life essence as streams of energy surged through his body. The Ghost Squid Codex finally reached 100%, marking the completion of Zichen's progress. A system message confirmed the successful unlock, granting him a new biological ability blessing of liquid affinity. At first, he found the blessing somewhat underwhelming, unsure of its true value. To test it, he entered a nearby pond and noticed changes. His skin no longer wrinkled after long periods in water, and swimming became easier due to reduced resistance, though no other effects were apparent. After testing his new ability, Zichen admitted that the Ghost Squid was only a low-tier mutant beast, not even worth gene fusion. He realized he would need higher-grade meat in the future to gain stronger biological attributes. He thought ahead, imagining the day he could become powerful enough to hunt and devour wild mutant beasts. His determination focused on creatures like the giant mutant rats, promising himself he would one day reach that level of strength. With less than a week before school started, his mother and Shen Qinghan's family suggested a trip together. To further explore the effects of his liquid affinity, Zichen recommended they go to the beach. At the beach, Shen Qinghan stepped into the water, shivering as she complained about how cold the seawater felt. Meanwhile, Zichen swam skillfully, telling her that it always felt cold at first, but she would get used to it soon. Feeling left behind, Qinghan called out to him, asking not to swim alone and instead teach her how to swim as well. Zichen suddenly realized he had forgotten that Qinghan didn't know how to swim yet, and he quickly turned his attention back to her. Zichen began teaching Qinghan patiently, though he doubted her average athletic ability would allow her to grasp swimming quickly. To his surprise, Qinghan immediately proved him wrong, quickly adapting and claiming swimming was actually easy. She dove under the water, her movements fluid and confident, surprising even herself with how naturally it came. Wide-eyed, she realized she could now dive freely, something she hadn't expected at all. Qinghan splashed out of the water, excitedly boasting about how easily she had adapted. She pointed out that most people found it painful to open their eyes underwater at sea, yet she felt no discomfort at all. In fact, she enjoyed it. Zichen watched closely, realizing that even with natural talent, it was impossible for someone to master all swimming skills so quickly. Something about her progress didn't seem normal. Shocked, he suddenly stopped himself and muttered in alarm, realizing there might be more to this than simple talent. Watching Qinghan, Zichen suddenly wondered if her unusual behavior and natural skill in water meant she was actually born with water affinity. The thought grew bolder. He even imagined the possibility that she might possess a special constitution like those described in cultivation stories. They continued diving together, and her performance left him even more astonished. Both of them held their breath underwater for over 10 minutes. For a trained person, that was already impressive, but for a beginner like Qinghan, it was nothing short of unbelievable. While swimming, Qinghan suddenly froze, sensing something unusual in the water. She picked up on a strange sound echoing through the depths, something completely unnatural. Zichen also noticed it, alarmed as he looked around in confusion, unsure what could be causing the disturbance. In the next moment, both of them burst out of the water, gasping for breath, as the mysterious sound's presence grew even more unsettling. After surfacing, Zichen noticed Qinghan looked uneasy and asked why she was suddenly so nervous. She admitted she had been hearing strange sounds near her ear, so unsettling that they gave her chills. When Zichen pressed for details, she explained that it sounded like a woman's voice speaking in an unfamiliar language. The sound had echoed non-stop until she left the water. Later, Zichen searched online, trying to find anything that matched her description, but came up with nothing. Unable to sleep, Zichen threw himself back into training. performing thousands of weighted sit-ups until his stats advanced to ordinary Tier 5. Reaching this level meant he could now rival adult giant mutant rats, a milestone he had long been aiming for. He clenched his fist with determination, convinced that if he kept pushing forward, even tearing apart mutant beasts with his bare hands wouldn't be impossible. To test his new strength, he went to the empty beach at night, where his sprinting and jumping abilities showed a dramatic increase. Unable to sleep, Zichen returned to his training, pushing himself through thousands of weighted sit-ups until his stats advanced to ordinary Tier 5. This breakthrough meant he had finally reached a level strong enough to rival full-grown giant mutant rats. With renewed determination, he believed that if he continued pushing forward, even tearing mutant beasts apart with his bare hands wouldn't be impossible. Eager to test his progress, he sprinted along the empty beach at night, his speed and agility showing a dramatic leap beyond his previous limits. While helping with class duties, Zichen was surprised to find that the task actually triggered a new quest, rewarding him with a new attribute called Social Animal. Curious about what this new attribute might do, he kept it in mind while carrying on with his day. Since school was still quiet, he took the chance to visit the supermarket. As he walked through the aisles, he reminded himself that with the Ghost Shadow Squid Codex complete, it was time to set his sights on a new target.